CCI Flow Templates are a modular group of Microsoft Forms, SharePoint list spreadsheets, and Power Automate flows that you can copy, update, and modify to create workflows for any process. A process can be one associated with a group or department, or even a non-group process that helps you complete individual tasks. You can automate the collection of data and documents. Route submitted data to reviewers, approvers, or processors. Give secure access of uploaded files to both team and non-team members. Keep everyone informed about the progress or status of a request. Provide an e-paper trail for approvers and their decision, including comments. Key features include customizable email templates. You can tailor Flow emails to fit your needs. Email verification. The Flow confirms that submitted emails are valid Potsdam addresses. Department emails. The Flow can automatically get email addresses for department chairs, dean directors, VPs, and provost cabinet members. Automated reminders. The Flow can send scheduled emails to help keep requests on track. Stalled request alerts. Flow owners will receive warning emails if a request has stalled. Although created to provide department and office staff with tools to automate paper processes, any Potsdam user can access CCI templates. In fact, if a department wanted to assign their student worker to build a flow, they could do that. Anyone that is willing to carefully follow simple directions can create a flow using CCI templates. No previous knowledge of Power Automate, lists, or Microsoft Forms is necessary. Video tutorials and step-by-step instructions will walk you through the entire process. Once you have a detailed outline of your process, fill out the CCI Flow Designer form. This form will ask a series of questions, including the primary submitter, student, teaching faculty, or employee, and the type of flow, approval, processing only, or document review. Your responses will be used to create a detailed blueprint email with step-by-step instructions. Note: before submitting a form, please thoroughly review the design how to create a process document. This guide will walk you through the critical step of sketching a mock outline of your process. Don't skip this step, as missing something significant could necessitate a complete redesign of your flow. Once you've submitted the form, you'll receive a blueprint email with detailed instructions, including which templates you'll need. The plan will ask you to complete the following steps in order. First, create a team. Each flow must be associated with a team in Teams. Create a form using the MS Forms templates. Create a SharePoint list, one associated with your team using the listed template. Update a flow. This step will likely take longest, and depending on the complexity of your process, may require several flows to be updated. Finally, you'll need to run tests to make sure the workflow is working properly. Let's take a quick tour of the process. We'll skip the first step of Create Team and move on to Create Form. This is the Student Submitter template. Each template starts with general instructions and a Things to Look Out For section. The top of form templates have routing questions like school and department. The department question includes all campus departments, including school departments. Forms contain embedded instructions and warning messages. For example, this red message says that the first name and last name questions are required. Some form templates are designed to add new information to an existing request. To ensure the data links correctly, they use the request ID and key information fields. The flow then uses these responses to update the correct item in the SharePoint list. While most approvals are processed using a flow approval email, sometimes using a form is necessary. Questions 4 and 5 allow an approver to submit their decision. The flow can retrieve emails based on school or department. However, some template questions help gather other needed emails like instructor, student, or advisor. When necessary, you'll get very detailed red text instructions in form templates. Here is a good example covering how to select or remove upload file questions. The documentation question allows submitters to upload all their files through one prompt. While this question is set to accept up to 3 files, any upload question can handle as many as 10. Other upload questions are restricted to 1 file each and are intended to be used to upload specific files. For example, document 1 could be a question assigned for uploading a resume. Step 3 in the process is to update your flow list. All data collected in your form is added to a SharePoint list. As the flow runs, it uses that information and updates it as needed. For example, in an approval process, the flow pulls information from the list to build the approval email. When the approver responds, the flow records their response in the list and then passes the request to the next approver. The list includes columns that record multiple data points. For example, across the 3 numbered columns, the first one captures the submission time of an item, the request status, and the first approver's decision and comments. The master list template contains columns to log the responses of up to 6 approvers and 2 processors. That's a lot of columns. In fact, the master list contains nearly 70 columns. Your own list won't have that many, but even if it did, you'll rarely need to open it. Flows are designed to email everyone the information they need automatically. Blueprint instructions will explain where and how to add columns to capture form data to your list. Excluding the built-in form template questions, you'll enter the question topic as the column name for each new question you added to your Microsoft form. Once your list is complete, the next step is to update your flow. Power Automate is an M365 app made up of several tools. You'll use it to build what's known as a flow, which automates your workflow. All of your flows can be found in the My Flows section. Once you've followed the copy instructions, you'll have one or more flows in your Shared With Me tab. Let's take a quick tour of a flow template. The Power Automate app lets users add and modify a series of automated actions that carry out a process. Flows follow a top-down structure made up of folders and actions. Many actions are color-coded, and each one also includes a distinct icon. For example, brown actions represent folders, shown with a rectangle within a rectangle icon, and they always contain additional actions inside. The top gray actions represent Microsoft Forms actions. The first action starts the flow when a form is submitted, and the second retrieves the form data. The highlighted form ID links the flow to the correct form, and the blueprint instructions explain how to update that ID. To open or close an action, select the middle of the action box. Each action will have a descriptive name and may have tags like setup, required, and optional. The blueprint will explain what each of these means and how and when to update them. Each action includes action notes. The bracketed text shows the action type, while the preceding text provides the instructions. In this example, the notes direct you to add the last name dynamic content, pulled from the Microsoft form, to the value field. To add dynamic content, place your cursor in the field, search for your content, and select it from the list. Notice that dynamic content is color-coded to match its source. The source of this last name content is from the previous Get Form Data action. You can only access dynamic content from actions that have already run. The flow cannot retrieve data from any action that hasn't occurred yet. The "more" button at the right corner of each action contains commands like copy, rename, and delete. The first step in updating your flow is to delete each unneeded action. However, this is done in a very particular order to allow you to save your changes. By the way, save your work often. I usually save after every change, because if Power Automate doesn't accept something you've done, it won't let you save, and you'll have to revert to your last save point. In the middle of the flow, you'll find the Templates folder, which contains both an Outlook email template and an Approval Tool email template. Since most flow emails follow a similar structure, these templates let you format the request data once and then copy that formatting throughout the rest of the flow. The top part of the email template provides instructions on how to update this template. Notice that this Outlook email action includes text editor tools. Keep that in mind for later. The bottom section of the template is reserved for request details. For each piece of information an approver needs to review, the template lists the topic along with the corresponding dynamic content field as its own line. The approval email is similar to the Outlook email, with one significant exception. It doesn't have an editor. Approval emails use a simple formatting language called Markdown. Specific symbols are used to denote bold, italics, bullets, etc. The template is pre-formatted with Markdown, so you can just add your text and dynamic content. The last stop on our tour is to review an approver path. You'll notice it contains several setup actions. Each approver path includes optional components that can be removed if they aren't needed. The top instruction tells you to update the gray approval as sent action. But before doing that, there is a brown setup folder that needs to be updated first. The instructions inside the first folder say to update the purple and gray actions below. Let's open the first purple action. The notes say to enter either daily or weekly. We'll keep the default of weekly. The next action doesn't contain the prefix setup, so we'll ignore it. We're supposed to update the gray data as added action. The action notes say to select the type of reminder we want. We'll change it to once a week. The next action doesn't say setup, nor did the folder instruction identify it as an action to update. But let's say we thought we needed to update it. The action note says, do not update this action. Flow emails employ standardized language that should work without the need to change it. However, you may modify it if you find it necessary. The Paste Content Here reminder at the bottom of the email shows you exactly where to paste the blue template request data. The next action to update is the gray approval email. Again, standard language at the top, and the bottom contains a Paste Here reminder. The next action only runs if the approver never responded. It sends an email to the Flow owner, so you know there is a problem. The warning email provides guidance on how to restart the request. The request ID and time fields make it easy to locate the corresponding list item and Flow run in Power Automate. If you need assistance, you can forward the full email to the CCI, which gives them everything they need to help. The next setup action stops reminder emails once an approver has responded. The following action then sets the approver's response so it can be added to the SharePoint list. The last folder in this section is the rejection path. Instructions say to update the gray list is updated action. The action adds the approver's responses to the SharePoint list. These actions deal with a rejected request. The condition states that if the A1 decision is equal to reject, the Flow should send the rejection email, and then stop. So, that's a quick tour of how to update a Flow. Despite all the features a Flow contains, only a small number of actions actually need updating. These actions are straightforward to modify, and you can save a significant amount of time by using the standard language already built into the templates.